As already introduced, I'm Dimitra Liveri. I'm working for the European Network and Information Security Agency, ENISA. Unfortunately, yesterday I wasn't able to join. I was very looking forward to, but we had a nice meeting that I had to be there. So I missed Ken's presentation and all these references. I will talk to you about the critical information infrastructures and NIS and the cloud services that are implemented in these infrastructures. So, some information about ENISA. ENISA is the European Union Network and Information Security Agency. Basically, we have an advisory role. We give guidelines. We issue guidelines on several areas, on several aspects on security and privacy concerning authorities, EU institutions, businesses, and citizens. We have also built, we are a forum connecting the citizens and the industry with the Commission. So basically, we are like an NIS, Network Information Security platform for exchanges of best practices, and we facilitate information exchange and collaboration. So the agency was set up in 2004. We got some months ago, 1 year ago actually, our new mandate for 2020, and ENISA, as I explained already, has an advisory role, but focuses on prevention and preparedness. ENISA is the 18 you see there, so we are located in Crete. We recently opened our offices in Athens with all the technical advisors being there. So basically, this is an approach of the European Commission to support member states, but not only the capitals, but also regions outside of the capitals. So that's why we are located in this small island. I will start talking about cloud with a very interesting phenomenon that took place some years ago. So basically, you all remember the big earthquake in Japan. Basically, it was a very, very good example of how resilient cloud is. None of the data centers were affected. No cloud computing services were affected, and basically mobile data were working, so people would be able to communicate and say if they're okay or locate other survivors. So cloud is resilient. This is our basis, because my unit where I'm working is called a unit of security and resilience. So basically, this is our starting point for cloud computing, and this is the work we have done since 2009 when cloud computing went into our work program. So you all know the cloud computing risk assessment. I think it was a relatively wide referenced document. We also, in 2009, 2 publications, also the security control frameworks. 2011, we focused on the security and resilience of governmental clouds. We also issued Procure Secure, Critical Cloud, and this year we are planning on delivering these 3 reports. So basically, I will explain to you later on these reports for this year. So, criticality on the cloud. This is a slide that has some examples of cloud adoption in critical information infrastructure. You see that these critical information infrastructures are the ones that have if something happens, there is a huge impact to the society. So according to the European Commission, the CII sectors are health, finance, energy, transport, banking, and telecommunications. So these are some examples. These are some examples of cloud adoption in the finance sector, in energy sector, in transport, and in health. Even though Even though people are not so eager of adopting cloud, the benefits of cloud itself, the resilience I discussed already, the rapid elasticity, the efficiency, the sustainability are very important benefits. So this is why in the end they decide to go cloud. In 2013, beginning of 2013, basically working 2012, ENISA has issued a report on to show basically how critical the cloud is. So basically, we give the CIP perspective of the cloud. What we want to achieve is one point of failure. So you see how it becomes, how everything is centralized in the cloud, in order to prevent large-scale failures and large cyber attacks. So cloud is critical, cloud is resilient, cloud is rapidly elastic. That means that it can address DDoS attacks and overloads. Some of the recommendations, some of the conclusion we got from this report is that EAS and PAS are more critical because they have impact in all the levels of the chain, of the cloud supply chain. And basically the idea was that the main recommendations that came out of the study is that there are issues that need to be addressed from the governance perspective. So each country should make a risk assessment. That means to assess basically the assets, the critical assets, to assess the dependencies and check basically which are the dependencies on cloud infrastructure. The second thing that we concluded is that the government should take appropriate security measures, check the best practices to see which are the logical and physical redundancies, and perform audits, tests, and exercises to enhance and support this redundancy. And the final step is instant reporting. We believe as ENISA that instant reporting is a framework, is a mentality that is very important for all the sectors. As you know, Article 13 already exists for the telecom sector, so telecom providers are obliged to report incidents to their national regulatory authorities. So supporting this action, we think that the same should happen for cloud computing. The providers or the operators, this is still very vague, should report outages and security breaches, focusing basically on continuity and availability of the services. I will not talk about privacy. What if something happens in the cloud? Which will be the consequences? How big the impact will be? Cloud has many interdependencies. If something fails, maybe the impact will be huge. This is basically the criticality of the cloud. And I would like, based on my latest on the latest statement of instant reporting, I would like to introduce you to the Article 14 of the proposal of the NIS directive. NIS directive is a proposal of the NIS directive was submitted by the Commission earlier this year. And this is one of the articles which basically asks market operators and public administrators to take the appropriate technical and organizational measures to manage risk, and basically is launching an instant reporting framework. The article is not, the proposal is not yet finalized, so the NIS directive doesn't yet include this article. As you see, there are some vague points in this part. We try to clarify some of these. So this is how the flow should be like. So basically, you will see that if an incident happens, the market operator should inform the public, the competent authority, which we don't know which will be. The competent authority can send a summary report, or in cases of cross-sector incidents, can send an early warning to the cooperation network of competent authorities, where ENISA is part of. And then this cooperation of authorities has to go back to the competent national authorities, giving them guidelines which will then amend into their own legislation, or will give to their operators again as guidance. The one main difference is that market operators or the competent national authorities have the requirement to inform also the public. And basically what we do this year is working on this article, on this proposal, and the idea is that by the end of 2013 we will have some very immature, I would say, guidance on the path towards instant reporting for cloud computing. So what is happening in the EU level, basically, after I explained to you the NIS directive? What else? The EU cloud strategy, I think that Ken has already talked about this yesterday. So ENISA is involved in the implementation of the cloud strategy. Basically, what the cloud strategy suggests is that there should be one unanimous, one EU partnership to leverage the public sector procurement, to be based on common requirements, and to set an example for the private sector also to participate. ENISA is taking part in the certification part. So basically, there has been set up a selected industry group run by the Commission, where ENISA is taking place. What are the objectives? Are to support the development of an EU-wide voluntary certification scheme, and to establish a list of schemes by 2014. So moving to the next, to our next step to our next, let's say, task for this year, the governmental clouds. As I said before in the previous slides, the sectors that are considered critical by the European Commission are health, transport, energy. However, also public administration is also considered as a critical infrastructure. So based on this, ENISA has been working on how to support and how to securely deploy governmental clouds. We have done, at this point, the report is almost final. We have, let's say, we have interviewed, we have tried to cover as many member states as possible to see which is basically the cloud uptake, which are the steps they take towards the implementation of cloud computing in the public sector, which are the deployment models, and which are basically the management and governance models that they use. So in the end, we come up with a set of recommendations on which aspects the governmental body should take into account when setting up a cloud. This work will be very soon, I think, outside to the public. So again, I'm going back to the cloud, to the EU cloud strategy, because basically governmental clouds is one part that is mentioned in the strategy. So we, as assisting bodies of the implementation of the strategy, we support this action. And our involvement basically is where the red arrows are. So basically in the certification working group, as I suggested already, where also Eurocloud is part of. And in the ETSI working group, where we are trying to build a cloud standard. I think that you discussed this already you heard this already from Ken yesterday. What is very important, and I would like to underline here, is that also as another activity, We are working on supporting the SMEs. So based on our risk assessment, which we had since in 2009, we are making a new risk assessment for SMEs, which will be specific on new SMEs or in already established ones. Certification. So I told you that we participate in the certification working group. The idea is that we want to build one meta framework for all. One meta framework which will include all the control objectives of other established frameworks, security frameworks, like ISO, like the CSA, like the Eurocloud framework. So in order to have a unanimous approach for all member states. Information security domains, control objectives, organizing sophistication levels for all the providers. So what do we do if we... Now that we take the assumption that in some cases cloud can be critical, what are the next steps? A national risk assessment for critical clouds, a national risk assessment for SMEs to check the interconnections and the interdependencies in the cloud backbone. We need also the legislative background to support the critical clouds. Which are the competent authorities? How are we going to set up these frameworks? Which are the public sector procurement processes? These are gaps, these are questions that need to be answered. And we as ENISA are working towards these replies. So we need to build also a minimum security requirements framework with different sophistication levels as I described already, which will be common for all the member states. So I didn't come up with the whole presentation that I gave you. I didn't come up with this. So we have a very nice cloud security and resilience experts group. We meet regularly. Actually, yesterday we had the second meeting, so that's why I came today. So you see that we have also a public sector. We have the Ministry of several countries participating. Basically, they are the ones that implement the governmental clouds in the country. And we also have a lot of experts from the industry. So we have Microsoft, we have Google, we have Amazon, we have Eurocloud, and also everybody. We go step by step with the European Commission. So that's it for me. I think that you have questions. I see people reacting. Please.
Yeah, I'm probably slow this morning. Data centers are nothing new. Disaster recovery is nothing new on the market. I can choose the cloud provider which fits my needs. If I want high availability, I get high availability. What is missing in the market that you are trying to address with your work? What is the motivation for this?
The motivation, you mean for the... I think what is lacking is guidelines and basically the how can I say, the exchange of knowledge. So basically at this point, we are working, everybody's working as individuals. So what we want to achieve and what they need to achieve, because I don't know if you're aware of the situation in Europe, there are many different initiatives. The status and the level of cloud adoption in the different countries is extremely wide. Some are very advanced, some are in a very, very primitive level, I would say. So basically what we are trying to do is to bring them all together and share the best practices. So what is missing is the common baseline link, is the basis for all the member states to build upon this. Knowledge is there already. People have already started implementing. The security is part of the governmental cloud. Privacy now is a huge concern. Crypto could be one solution. people are moving towards this attitude. However, the need is that we want to achieve a baseline for all the member states to have a good security level.
But who's the audience then? So I'm a company. I want a cloud solution. I talk to IBM. I talk to Oracle. I talk to Google or Amazon or whatever, and they tell me, yeah, you can have this, you can have that SLA, all there. So what is the need for your work?
You are a government. Because if you are in the government, if you are in the public, there are specific requirements. There are specific procurement requirements that need to be met. How are these going to be met?
So the public sector is the audience?
Yeah, basically it's the public sector.
Thank you.
Thank you. So this is my email.
No more questions so far. Then thank you very much, Dimitra, taking the challenge. I knew you had a session yesterday in Rome, and then you went to Brussels and then to Luxembourg. So thank you very much. I really appreciate that you're joining us.
Thank you as well.